Welcome to Senior Relationship After 60. Did you know that about 40% of Americans aged 65 to 80 say they're still sexually active? Even more striking, many say their satisfaction with intimacy has improved with age, not diminished. What if your deepest connections, strongest passion, and most meaningful emotional closeness are not behind you, but still ahead? Imagine turning retirement into a second honeymoon phase. The freedom of fewer obligations, more time to explore, to reconnect, to grow. What if the best chapter of love, desire, and companionship is yet to be written, even after 60? Is your heart ready to believe that after 60 doesn't mean over the hill, but instead, beyond expectations? What if this next phase brings more romance, more intimacy, and more honest communication than ever before? Before we dive deeper into this, let me say this. If what you're hearing already hits home, don't just like the video. Smash that new like button right now. You might think it's symbolic, but here's the truth. Each like is a vote from someone with real experience, wisdom, and a story that deserves to be heard. It helps YouTube know that senior relationships matter. It helps this message reach others over 60 who are ready for connection, passion, and renewal. So go ahead, hit like, and let's rise together. Now, what you're about to hear isn't just general advice. These are fresh, meaningful insights for seniors navigating love, sex, and intimacy in 2025 America. Because life after 60 is changing fast, and for many, it's getting richer, not quieter. Let's explore together. Meet Marcellus Gray, a 67-year-old retired firefighter from Grand Rapids, Michigan. For 35 years, he ran into burning buildings for a living, but when the alarms stopped, a quieter kind of emptiness set in. The silence of retirement wasn't peaceful, it was lonely. His wife, Denise, had passed 5 years earlier, and though his grown children visited often, the house felt too large, too still. The man who once saved lives every day now struggled to save his own sense of connection. He'd sit on the porch with his morning coffee, watching the world move on. Younger couples jogging by hand in hand, laughter drifting from neighbors' barbecues, and he wondered, is love just something I used to know? The phone calls grew fewer. The nights felt longer. He tried to fill the space with TV, with chores, even with volunteering, but nothing replaced the warmth of shared laughter, or the feeling of being truly seen by someone. What changed everything wasn't a grand event. It was a moment of honesty. One evening at a senior community dinner, a woman named Lorraine told him, "You know, I thought I was done with love too. Turns out, I was just done pretending I didn't miss it." That struck something deep inside Marcellus. It wasn't the idea of romance that pulled him. It was the permission to feel again, to want companionship, to admit that intimacy in all its forms still mattered. From that night on, Marcellus decided to rewrite his own story. He joined a local art class, not because he was good with paint, but because it scared him. And that fear reminded him he was alive. Slowly, he discovered that connection after 60 wasn't about chasing youth. It was about rediscovering humanity. He began to see that vulnerability wasn't weakness. It was the bridge back to feeling alive. And as he re-entered the world, one conversation, one smile, one shared memory at a time, Marcellus realized something profound. The heart doesn't retire. So, as we journey through his story, think about this. Are you allowing your own heart to stay in the fire, or have you let it cool? Because sometimes, love after 60 isn't about finding someone new. It's about finding the courage to open up again. The new reality of love and sex after 60. As we cross into our 60s and beyond, intimacy doesn't just slow down, it transforms. What once was taken for granted becomes an intentional act of connection. For many seniors, the landscape of love, desire, and emotional closeness has changed in ways that are seldom talked about, but extremely real. First, let's talk about what shifts physically, socially, and emotionally after 60, because that shapes everything. Hormones, health, and energy. With age, hormonal changes for both men and women, chronic conditions, medications, and reduced energy levels are part of the new reality. These aren't moral judgments, they're biological facts. The result: intimacy needs to be gentler, communication more open, pacing more thoughtful. Social roles and identity. Many people over 60 have transitioned out of their primary careers, lost partners, moved cities, or redefined their friendships. Your social network often shrinks, routines shift, and alone time can feel longer. Even if you're surrounded by people, true emotional connection can feel rare. Emotional dynamics. Grief, past marriages, loss of peers, and shifting family expectations add layers to how intimacy and love feel. Saying "I miss you" may carry deeper weight. So does fear of vulnerability. This isn't just starting over. It's starting with more history and more emotional consequence. But here's something many people don't realize. Your desires, expectations, and opportunities are evolving too. And the trends are shifting faster than you might think. Modern trends reshaping senior intimacy and romance in 2023 to 2025. 1. Boomers on apps are rising fast. Dating apps saw record growth in 2024 among older users. Those aged 59 to 72 were the fastest growing demographic on several major platforms. Specifically, on the kink-positive app field, users aged 60 plus increased by 340% since 2022, showing desire, exploration, and curiosity are far from over. 2. A notable percentage of seniors are trying online dating. About 26% of Americans aged 65 plus reported having tried a dating app. According to Pew Research, roughly 14% of those in their 60s have used online dating platforms at some point. Many of these seniors say they're seeking more than casual companionship, true, meaningful connection, not just a swipe. 3. Relativity of satisfaction and shifting expectations. Contrary to stereotypes, many seniors report high satisfaction with their intimate lives. The assumption that older adults don't care or aren't active is increasingly false. At the same time, dating culture has changed. Younger generations influence norms, algorithms drive visibility, and family pressure, or lack thereof, alters motivations. What all this means for seniors today. The possibility for emotional and physical intimacy doesn't vanish, just looks different. You might connect slower, communicate more, and prioritize quality over quantity. Because apps and social groups are now more senior-friendly, there are more pathways to meet others, but they often require different skills. Patience, clear expectations, stronger boundaries, and digital literacy. Age-related changes make communication essential. You and your partner might need to talk explicitly about health, expectations, pacing, and emotional needs more than ever before. Your experience matters. Sharing it helps others feel seen too. Rebuilding emotional intimacy after loss or long-term marriage. For many people over 60, love isn't a fairy tale. It's a story marked by chapters of loss, endurance, and rediscovery. Some have lost a lifelong partner. Others still share a home but feel like strangers under the same roof. Emotional intimacy, that feeling of being seen, understood, and connected, often fades quietly, replaced by routine and silence. Yet here's the truth. Emotional closeness can be rebuilt at any age. It's not about starting over. It's about starting deeper. Take Marcellus Gray, for instance. After years of being married, life with his late wife had settled into predictable rhythms. Grocery lists, TV schedules, the occasional dinner with family. Love was present but muted. When she passed, he realized how much of his heart had gone quiet long before she did. He missed not just her presence, but the small moments of being emotionally alive. One day, a neighbor mentioned a community art class at the local center. "Art," he laughed. "I can't even draw a straight line." But he went anyway. In that class, surrounded by people who were also healing in their own ways, something shifted. The first time he dipped a brush into color, it wasn't about the painting. It was about permission. Permission to feel joy, awkwardness, curiosity again. To talk, to listen, to laugh without obligation. That's how emotional intimacy begins again. Not with grand gestures, but with small acts of openness. For seniors rebuilding connection, whether within a long marriage or after losing someone. Here are 3 powerful shifts to try. 1. Practice active listening, not fixing. Instead of offering advice, try curiosity. Ask, "How are you really?" Then pause and let silence do its work. Listening deeply tells the other person they're still worth knowing. 2. Show vulnerability. You don't have to be the strong one anymore. Share a memory, a fear, or something you miss. Vulnerability invites emotional reciprocity. It says, "It's safe to be real here." 3. Create new shared experiences. Emotional renewal thrives on novelty. Travel together, even if it's a weekend road trip. Join a class, start volunteering, or take up a hobby neither of you has tried. When you build new memories, you create new emotional bonds. Recent studies in aging psychology show that shared novelty triggers the brain's reward centers, helping couples rekindle connection even after decades. Simple activities, gardening together, learning technology, or joining a dance club, can reignite feelings of closeness. For Marcellus, that art class became his reset button. He met people who understood loneliness, shared their laughter, and helped him rediscover color, both on canvas and in life. So, if you've lost connection or someone dear, remember this. Rebuilding intimacy isn't about replacing the past. It's about awakening the part of you that still believes in love. But what if you've been single for years, and love feels like a foreign language? The next section may surprise you, because new connection after 60 might be closer than you think. Rediscovering physical intimacy with health in mind. Let's talk about something often whispered about, but rarely spoken with honesty. Physical intimacy after 60. The truth. It's not gone. It's simply different. For many older adults, the challenge isn't a lack of desire. It's navigating a body that's changed. But those changes don't mean the end of pleasure or closeness. They mean it's time to redefine what intimacy truly means. As we age, health becomes part of the equation. Mobility issues, medications that affect arousal, conditions like arthritis or diabetes, erectile dysfunction, and vaginal dryness. These are real factors. Yet, none of them have to close the door on physical connection. In fact, when couples learn to adapt, many report feeling closer than they did in their younger years. Why? Because intimacy after 60 is less about performance and more about presence. Start with communication. Too often, partners stay silent out of embarrassment or fear of rejection. But openness creates possibility. Instead of pretending everything feels the same, try saying, "Let's talk about what feels good now." This kind of honesty builds trust, and often leads to creative, fulfilling new ways to connect. Involve your healthcare provider. In the US, Medicare now supports more conversations around sexual health than ever before. According to the National Institute on Aging, doctors are being encouraged to ask seniors about intimacy, yet most still don't, unless you bring it up first. You can request referrals to pelvic health specialists, sexual therapy clinics, or age-friendly care programs designed for older adults. These professionals can help with safe treatments, from pelvic floor therapy and lubricants to hormone-free options for comfort and stamina. Redefine what sex means. Intimacy isn't limited to intercourse. It's every act that fosters connection. Slow touch, massage, shared bathing, or even simply holding each other longer than usual. In surveys from AARP and University of Michigan, 2023, many seniors said they found deeper satisfaction through non-traditional forms of intimacy like cuddling, kissing, or mutual touch. Activities that emphasize tenderness over performance. Practical tip. If mobility is an issue, explore adaptive positions or supportive pillows. Arthritis-friendly aids, adjustable beds, or heated compresses can make comfort part of romance again. And remember, it's okay to laugh, to experiment, to rediscover. Intimacy should never feel like a test. It's an adventure of trust and curiosity. In Marcellus's story, after joining his art group, he met Lorraine, a widow in her 60s rediscovering her own body after years of self-neglect. Their connection began with slow dances, shared meals, and long conversations. When they finally explored physical closeness, it wasn't about youth, It was about safety, softness, and rediscovering joy without pressure. So, if you're watching this and thinking, "That sounds wonderful, but my body doesn't work the same anymore," remember this: your body hasn't failed you. Simply asking for patience and understanding. Reinventing dating, tools and mindsets for seniors. For decades, dating was something most people over 60 never imagined returning to. But in 2025, that story is changing fast. Seniors across the US are rewriting the rulebook on romance, armed not just with smartphones, but with self-awareness, humor, and a clearer sense of what they want. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming connection on your own terms. When Marcellus Gray finally decided to dip a toe back into the dating pool, it wasn't easy. The last time he dated, people met through church socials or neighbor introductions, not by swiping left or right. His granddaughter helped him download silver singles, and he stared at the empty profile box like it was an exam. "Describe yourself," it said. "How do you summarize 67 years of living? The heartbreaks, the laughs, the lessons, in a few sentences." That's where the new mindset comes in. Modern senior dating isn't about impressing. It's about expressing. Your experience is your strength. Here's what's working for seniors across the US right now. 1. Choose senior-friendly spaces. The most trusted platforms, Silver Singles, Our Time, eHarmony for 60+, and even local meetup groups for retirees, are booming. According to AARP's 2024 Dating Trends Survey, over 30% of Americans aged 60+ have tried online dating, and satisfaction is highest among those who join platforms specifically designed for older adults. Many of these sites filter matches by shared values, interests, and long-term goals, a refreshing shift from the casual culture of younger apps. 2. Write a profile that's real, not rehearsed. Avoid cliches like young at heart or looking for adventure. Instead, highlight the texture of your life. Mention passions, causes, or quirky habits. Example: retired firefighter who still makes the best chili in Michigan and never misses a sunrise. Show warmth, not perfection. Use a recent photo that shows your genuine smile. Confidence looks good at any age. 3. Adopt the second chance mindset. The biggest trend among senior daters isn't casual dating. It's what experts call serious second chance connection. After decades of commitments, careers, or loss, many seniors are approaching love with clarity. They know what partnership feels like, and what it shouldn't feel like. There's less pretense, more honesty, and surprisingly more playfulness. 4. Balance digital with real-world connection. Online platforms are just the start. Church communities, senior centers, travel clubs, and volunteer programs remain some of the richest places to meet someone who shares your rhythm. For example, senior hiking groups and singles dinners, hosted by AARP local chapters, are gaining popularity nationwide. For Marcellus, the breakthrough came not from an app match, but from a simple message exchange with Lorraine, a retired teacher who loved jazz and morning walks. Their first date wasn't flashy, just coffee and conversation. But for the first time in years, he felt curiosity bubbling again. Not about her resume, but her presence. The secret to modern senior dating isn't chasing butterflies. It's choosing connection that feels calm, real, and mutual. Every message, every chat, every laugh is an act of courage. Proof that love after 60 isn't about age, but openness. So, if you've been hesitant to try, remember this: you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with wisdom. Maintaining long-term intimacy and passion in the golden years. For couples over 60, passion doesn't fade. It matures. It becomes quieter, warmer, and more deeply rooted in shared understanding. Gone are the days of rushing to impress or perform. Love in the golden years is about presence, laughter, and rediscovery. Marcellus Gray and his partner Lorraine have been together for 3 years now. Every Sunday they clear the kitchen, put on Marvin Gaye's Let's Stay Together, and dance barefoot as coffee brews. It's their private ritual, No phones, no expectations, just rhythm, memory, and connection. Marcellus says those 3 minutes each week mean more to him than any romantic dinner ever did in his 40s. Because for him, intimacy isn't about performance. It's about feeling seen. Experts today say that maintaining intimacy after 60 is less about frequency and more about emotional synchrony. Shared routines, like morning walks, cooking together, or trying new hobbies, strengthen what psychologists call emotional resonance. These little rituals create comfort and predictability, which paradoxically allow for more spontaneity and playfulness in a relationship. Recent trends in the US are also helping reshape how seniors experience passion. There's been a quiet boom in senior intimacy retreats, workshops where couples over 60 explore connection, communication, and body confidence in safe, supportive spaces. Health and wellness communities are also expanding their focus to include sexual well-being for older adults, with doctors encouraging open discussions about pleasure, desire, and touch. Then there's the rise of multi-generational living. Sharing a home or space with family doesn't diminish intimacy, it can rekindle it. Many older couples report that being surrounded by life and laughter from younger generations gives them energy and joy, even inspiring new ways to connect. And humor. Never underestimate humor. A shared laugh during a moment of awkwardness can be more intimate than a kiss. The ability to laugh together through body changes, memory slips, and life's unpredictability keeps couples bonded. Marcellus and Lorraine often say their relationship feels lighter now than ever. "We don't chase fireworks," Lorraine laughs. "We light candles instead and let them burn slow." Overcoming social, cultural, and emotional obstacles. For many older adults, love after 60 doesn't just come with butterflies, it comes with baggage. There are invisible walls built by culture, family, and even fear. In the United States today, millions of seniors quietly struggle with the stigma of seeking affection and intimacy in later life. Society still whispers that passion has an expiration date, and that's one of the biggest lies ever told. Meet Marcellus Gray again, 67, retired firefighter, and now newly in love. When he started seeing Lorraine, he expected warmth from his adult children. Instead, he faced hesitation. "Dad, are you sure this is what you need right now?" they asked, well-meaning but loaded. For the first time, Marcellus realized he had to defend something deeper than romance: his right to emotional life. Many seniors face similar resistance. Families sometimes fear change, especially after the loss of a spouse or long period of solitude. Friends may tease or question the idea of dating again at your age. Layered onto this are challenges like health insurance concerns, financial boundaries, and navigating blended family dynamics, all while coping with grief or loneliness. Here's the truth. Reclaiming love after 60 is an act of courage. It means setting boundaries with respect, saying, "I've cared for everyone else long enough. Now I'm caring for my heart." It means having open conversations about finances, privacy, and independence with adult children before conflict arises. It means seeking therapy, faith-based groups, or community circles that validate your emotional needs, not dismiss them. The isolation forced many seniors to confront what they'd ignored: their own longing for touch, laughter, and connection. It also sparked innovation. Online senior meetups, telehealth counseling for grief and loneliness, and virtual dating platforms like Our Time and Silver Singles saw record growth between 2020 and 2023. Out of solitude came self-awareness, a recognition that emotional closeness isn't optional, it's survival. Marcellus learned this the hard way. One night, after his son's disapproval stung, he wrote in his journal, "I've run into burning buildings. Why am I afraid to love again?" That line became his turning point. He started setting gentle but firm boundaries. He talked to his children openly, not defensively. And slowly, they saw what he already knew. That love didn't replace his past. It honored it by keeping him alive and joyful. When we first met Marcellus Gray, he was a man quietly surviving his days. retired from decades of service, living alone in a Michigan suburb, convinced that the best chapters of love and intimacy had already been written. His mornings were predictable, his evenings silent, and the ache of loneliness had become background noise. Like many seniors across America, he didn't realize how emotional isolation was slowly dimming his health, energy, and spirit. But everything began to shift the moment he gave himself permission to reconnect, emotionally, socially, and physically. Joining that art class, saying yes to companionship, and later, rebuilding his romantic confidence didn't just fill his calendar, it reignited his life force. Studies show that older adults who engage in affectionate, emotionally fulfilling relationships experience improved cardiovascular health, better sleep, sharper memory, and lower rates of depression. Marcellus became living proof of that. His friends noticed it first. The man who once kept his curtains drawn now invited neighbors for coffee. He walked taller, smiled more, and even rejoined his community volunteer group. His doctor reported his blood pressure was down. His stress levels had improved, and his optimism, that unmeasurable but vital ingredient, had returned. But the transformation went deeper than the physical. Emotionally, Marcellus discovered what many seniors overlook: that love in later life isn't a continuation of youth. It's a rebirth. It's love without hurry, without ego, without fear of imperfection. The kind where two people hold hands not because they have to, but because they choose to, every single day. He learned that after 60, relationships become intentional. There's less drama, more depth. Less chasing, more cherishing. These connections aren't built on future plans. They're built on presence. And that makes them stronger, more resilient, and often more satisfying than love in younger years. So, what can we take away from Marcellus's story, and maybe your own? That love after 60 isn't a quiet ending. It's a bold new beginning. You've seen how he rediscovered emotional closeness after loss, learned to communicate openly about health and intimacy, and even found connection in a digital world he once thought had passed him by. These are not fairy tales. They're the real, modern truths of senior relationships today. If you've ever thought it's too late to feel that spark again, remember this: the heart doesn't age, it evolves. Emotional intimacy can deepen, conversations can become more honest, and affection can grow richer with time. Whether it's trying a senior retreat, writing that first dating profile, or simply daring to hold someone's hand again, every act of connection keeps you alive in more ways than one. If this video touched you or opened your eyes, don't scroll away. Hit that like button right now. It's not just a click. It's how YouTube helps senior voices rise and be heard. Subscribe for more real-life love stories, practical advice, and uplifting truths from senior relationships after 60. And here's your challenge. Share this with someone over 60 who deserves a reminder that love doesn't retire. It reawakens. Do you know a couple rewriting the rules of love in their golden years? Tag them below or share this video, because their story might be the one that inspires thousands more. The best chapters aren't behind you. They're just beginning.